Weekly Book Review WBRX33 The Selfish Gene by Manohar Man Shrestha. General details of the book. Originally published 1976, author Richard Dawkins, page count 224, genre Popular Science. What this book is about. This book is a theory trying to explain how humans exist, how they have survived, and why they behave in either selfish or altruistic way. The theory puts the blame on genes, figuratively speaking. This book also gives a genetic dimension to Darwin's theory of evolution. Basically, this is a very interesting book on biology. Chapter 1 of 13. Why are people? In this chapter, Dawkins gives many examples of selfish and altruistic behavior observed in the animal kingdom. The objective is to prove the main argument of this book in the words of the author himself, that we and all other animals are machines created by our genes. This entitles us to expect certain types of qualities in our genes. The predominant quality to be expected in a successful gene is ruthlessness and selfishness. However, there are some special circumstances in which a gene can achieve its own selfish goal by best fostering a limited form of altruism at the level of individual animals. Chapter 2. The Replicators. Here the author tries to explain that Darwin's popular idea of survival of the fittest should be replaced by the survival of the stable. This is because the universe is populated by stable things. Rocks, galaxies, ocean waves are stable patterns of ocean. For millions of years on Earth there was a heat and trial, and all molecules perished until, in the author's words, at some point a remarkable molecule was formed by accident. We'll call it a replicator. As miscouplings were made and propagated, the primordial soup became filled with non-identical replicators. Replicators with high longevity would therefore tend to be more numerous. They have come a long way, those replicators. Now they are called the genes. Chapter 3. Immortal coils. Here the author, using jargon from biology, explains genes evolves in the survival machines we are. He explained 3 ways genes evolved in us, in animals, and in plants. Chance, through crossover of previously existing subunits into new ones. Point mutation, rare, but it is like a single misprinted letter in a book, here in the gene. Inversion, it is like a transfer of a group of pages from one volume of the book to another, here again the gene. The author explains through numerous counter-arguments and arguments that the basic unit of selfishness is the gene. There are 2 types of genes. Good genes help postpone death and the reproduction. Lethal genes makes its possessor die mainly because it is beyond the age of reproduction. The objective of the gene is immortality by coupling itself in its possessor for millions and millions of years. Chapter 4. The Gene Machine. In this chapter, the author illustrates that the behavior of human beings and plants are the manifestation of the objectives of genes to copy themselves into eternity. For examples, animals searching for food or mate, cooperation, communication, mimicking external environments. Chapter 5. Aggression, Stability, and the Selfish Machine. This chapter explains the role of aggressiveness in the selfish gene strategy. If gene's objective is to survive, then why don't we and animals murder one another? Animals. Simply because in a cost-benefit analysis, it is not profitable to the gene to murder competitors, thus bringing us to altruism. Chapter 6. Genesmanship. This chapter explains the altruistic tendency of the genes. For example, allowing one to die for 10 others to keep on replicating into the future. Chapter 7. Family Planning. This chapter explains the tendency of animals to cheat mainly because in the family planning department there are 2 parts: bringing new individuals into the world, carrying the existing individuals. It is a very interesting chapter giving genetic cause to fidelity and infidelity. Chapter 8. Battle of Generations. In this chapter, The author tackles another important parenting question of favoritism among its offsprings. The term the author uses is parental investment, or PI. Is defined as an investment by the parent in an individual offspring to increase that offspring's chance, hence, of successful reproduction, of surviving at the cost of investing in other offsprings. For the gene, it is more profitable, after some calculations shown, for the parent to give more PI to grandchildren. Chapter 9, Battle of the Sexes. This chapter basically explains the genetic cause of male philandering and possessive females. Chapter 10, You Scratch My Back, I'll Ride on Yours. This chapter explains the genetic cause of collaboration. For example, zebras herd often with the gnus, and mixed species flocks of birds that are often seen for the objective of You Scratch My Back and I'll Ride on Yours. Chapter 11, Memes, the New Replicators. Genes pass over biological messages. The author brings in term of meme with the same phronology as gene to explain how culture is transmitted over species and generations. This is the same meme that we have now on the internet, although no one except a few know what it really means and where the term originated. Now you know. Chapter 12, Nice Guys Finish First. This is the way to close the book by clarifying through various experiments that in the end selfish genes are the nice guys. They have to be in order to survive. Chapter 13, The Long Reach of the Gene. The author in this last chapter talks widely about phenotype effect. It means the effect of genes on the bodily manifestation of humans, animals, and plants. Basically, it concludes that we are really machines for the genes to replicate themselves into eternity, and not the other way around. How is this book useful in your life? This book is a great way to understand our behaviors, tendencies, and preferences as human beings. Why we are selfish, altruistic also. Why man are man. How we evolved as Homo sapiens. More importantly, I feel this book explains the coronavirus crisis in the eyes of genes. Business, not applicable. Career, not applicable. Letter from MMS, 22nd March 2020. Dear friend, you must be affected in one way or the other by the coronavirus. There has been a lot of talk about the origin, the effects, and the prognosis of this crisis. When I was choosing which book to write a review this week, I came across this book, which really hit a chord in me. Basically, we can explain the corona as a mutation, and with its primary objective to replicate using us humans as gene machines. But according to this book, it will stop at some point, because if it gets us all, it will get extinct also. So far, that is the genetic cause of coronavirus. There are, of course, lifestyle causes and even maybe existential causes, but this is not the right time to talk about this. I hope you enjoyed this review. It is a very rare, very hard book to review, because every page is filled with internal enlightenment. So to summarize, I had to let go of many of the author's insights.